Hello, we are here today with Samantha Monks, Program Assistant at JFCS Squirrel Hill Food Pantry. How are you doing today, Samantha?
I'm doing really well. How are you, Jordan?
I'm doing well, thanks. So today we're going to talk about the food pantry. And I guess to start with, I just would like to ask you, Samantha, about a term that's often thrown around in the field when we talk about food pantries, which is food insecurity. What is food insecurity, and why is this something that people should care about?
Sure. So, food insecurity is not just about having food, it's about accessing food. So, that goes beyond just is it in your neighborhood? Is there a grocery store in your neighborhood? But are you able to access that grocery store? So, that's can you get public transportation? Do you feel safe walking there? Also, is it accessible to people with disabilities? So, access has a lot of different meanings to it, and it carries a lot of weight in different ways. So that's one part of food insecurity, is making sure that people have access to food. And then it's not just that a household has access, because something that I've really learned working at JFCS and just in my work with food insecurity is that within a single household, there can be two members that experience a different level of food security. So we could have one member that is very food secure while another is food insecure. That's whether they are roommates, housemates, or even within families due to power dynamics, gender discrimination, things like that. And then the third part of food security is that it's nutritionally adequate. So it's not just having access to any food, it's food that really helps you grow and is nutritionally, gives you a well-balanced diet.
Yeah, that's really helpful to kind of frame the conversation. And I think any conversation about food insecurity today really has to address the coronavirus pandemic. I'm sure many people have seen the pictures and videos of long lines of people waiting outside food pantries for food at different points during this pandemic. And I'm wondering, for you personally, since you've been working at the food pantry during this pandemic, how has this experience of working at a food pantry during a global pandemic changed your perspective on food insecurity?
Sure. So I think the biggest thing that I've taken away is that food insecurity does not have a stereotype. Somebody who is food insecure does not look the same as another person that is food insecure. And individuals experiencing food insecurity, that can happen at any age, at any education level, at basically at any time as well. So it's not a predictable situation that people find themselves in. We're very fortunate as a food pantry to be open 5 days a week. So we're able to serve a large amount of emergency clients. The emergency clients that come through are from all different backgrounds, all ages. So really you can see the pandemic hitting at really all levels unpredictably. So we're really fortunate to be able to serve those people.
Yeah, I know a lot of people during the pandemic have been very concerned about food insecurity, and JFCS has been the recipient of some very generous donations to help support the food pantry to make sure people have enough to eat. I'm wondering, are there other ways that people can kind of advocate for policies to make sure that people have access to food?
Absolutely. So we take a lot of note from the Greater Pittsburgh Community Food Bank and from Hunger Free America. And they have a lot of advocacy plans in terms of how to approach local, state, and federal legislators and representatives, because really food insecurity pervades all of those levels, right? It's not just something that happens locally, it happens nationally and even internationally. So advocating and speaking to our representatives is very important. Boosting programs such as SNAP, the Emergency Food Assistance Program. Statewide in PA, we have the State Food Purchase Program. So those kinds of things, reading up and educating yourselves about what programs are out there and sending out support is one way. Another thing that I think is really important, that is something we haven't brought up yet, is decreasing stigma. So there is a huge stigma about being food insecure, going to a food pantry, and I think the more we can raise awareness about what food security is, what it looks like, what it doesn't look like, that there is no stereotype associated with it, the more we can kind of break down that stigma, I think the more likely we all are to join at the table and kind of start having meaningful discussions about sustainable solutions.
Right. Well, Samantha, I want to thank you for having the conversation with me today. And I also want to thank you for the work that you're doing. A lot of folks during this pandemic have been working remotely, working from home. That's not the case with people who work in food pantries. So you and the team at the JFCS Squirrel Hill Food Pantry have been there throughout the pandemic, delivering food to people in need a little bit differently than we were doing before, but still doing it now. So thank you for doing that and for taking care of our community during a time of crisis.
Yeah, no problem. I think it's the responsibility of us all to kind of carry the weight during these really trying times. So I'm happy to help.
Great, thanks.